Flo's here next to me. She was enjoying those Icelandic chants earlier on, weren't you? They're very impressive. She's going to have a look at the French newspapers for us. Lots of focus today on the future of the European Union. Yesterday, the French President François Hollande and the German Chancellor Angela Merkel hosting a summit with Western Balkan states. Now, the perspective of their joining the European bloc has been rather overshadowed and jeopardized even rather by the Brexit crisis.
That's right. Le Figaro says that we're starting to put the brakes on European enlargement. That's on the front page today. And Le Figaro says, look, given the current context, it's completely crazy, surreal to ever think about expanding now. So Hollande and Merkel can try to reassure these Western Balkan states, but this is just diplomatic talks, because the truth is the Brexit you can see here is a cold shower for any hopes of joining the EU. You know, it's not like a nightclub where there's a, one out and so one can come in.
Yeah.
We're putting the brakes now. And if we go back to the front page of Le Figaro, you can see this is the editorial here. It says that, the truth is we went way too far and way too fast with the EU, and the Brexit has made any future enlargement just impossible for now.
Now, several analysts agreeing with Le Figaro. Now is not the time to push even further the EU's borders after 70 years of growth. It's time for the EU perhaps to do the opposite, to shrink
a little. That's right. In fact, there's a very interesting piece, once again, in Le Figaro by their analyst, Renaud Girard, who wonders actually if it was actually the fact that the EU enlarged at kind of a breakneck speed, whether that actually killed the European Union. Now, he says that wanting to expand is a natural principle, but we really jumped a lot of steps and went too fast because the original institutions were created for the six original partners: France, Germany, Italy, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. And those institutions created for six countries can't really work for 30. The original motor was just created for 6 passengers, so it's no surprise that this big beast that has become the European Union, it doesn't really work very well, and it's very loud. When you're 6 people, you can have a conversation. When it's 30 of you, it becomes quite a cacophony.
Now, the EU is also in the spotlight for other reasons as well. Prime Minister Manuel Valls here in France, he's threatened to stop applying EU law on the so-called posted workers.
That's right. He's flexing his muscles over something called les travailleurs détachés, so these posted workers, people hired and paid in one EU country, but that actually work temporarily in a different EU country, often for a lower wage compared to other workers in that country. You can read all the details here in Les Echos. Essentially, Valls says that this policy is kind of a social dumping, and it's the cause of a lot of job loss here in France. And so he's threatening to go rogue in a lot of ways. And you can see here Les Echos wondering, is this going towards some secession from Brussels? Is it the first step towards some sort of a Frexit, perhaps, here in France?
Some papers, though, arguing the problem is not the posted workers system, but it's actually France's very, very complicated labour laws.
That's right. If we stay with Les Echos but look at their editorial, they say that, these posted workers are really just a scapegoat. The problem is that it's very expensive to hire French workers because of something known as les cotisations here in France. That's essentially contributions that employers have to make to every time they hire someone to essentially pay for France's very generous social security system. It's a very generous system, but it costs a lot of money, and it means that people often don't want to hire people because it's going to cost them a lot of money. So Les Echos says these posted workers aren't the problem, but they do reflect the fact that we have a lack of competitiveness here in France. But Les Echos says, Valls' analysis is completely wrong, and it's a big mistake because he's actually following in the footsteps of populists.
So the French government, as you say, showing its muscles, is starting to get on Brussels' nerves.
That's right, because whether it's about these posted workers or even the trade negotiations with the US, the so-called TTIP, France is going against the current. It's playing a double game, according to L'Opinion, which is a pro-business, pro-Europe paper. And it says that, this is really hypocritical. And I like this cartoon here where you can see Manuel Valls, holding up this poster saying, we need to protect our posted workers and the TTIP is a terrible thing. And he's looking at a guy that might look familiar there. That's Philippe Martinez, the leader of the CGT union, who's been doing a lot of demonstrating against Valls' plan to reform the labor code here in France. And they're not the best of friends, let's just put it that way. And you can see Martinez there talking to Manuel Valls. Welcome to the struggle, comrade. So making fun of Valls for, doing all this protesting when really, people are protesting against him.
You can see the daggers, can't you, flying out of the eyes in that cartoon there. Thank you very much, Flo with the French papers here on France 24 for you. Coming up for you, more news, of course, and also it's a mad rush, but it'll be okay in the end. That's the optimistic view, anyway, of one worker on Rio's metro as the city pulls out all the stops to try to ensure it is ready for the Olympics, which begin now in 30 days' time. That's coming up.